How's it going, people? I'm Zephyros, and welcome back to my channel. So, season 8 is officially done and dusted. Um, Proud to say that we won the gauntlet again. But this was the season 8 was the season we had a wobble. We lost our first match against the Shire. So, hats off to them. A really, really good effort by them. We did take our foot off the pedal a little bit. We did end up with a lot of silly attacks. We just got complacent, really. But it was the kick up the arse we needed. So yeah, it's one of those where now that season 8 is done, it means that we now need to look towards season 9 and we need to prepare. So I thought I'd put out a couple of videos just highlighting how we prepare. Um, First one, and so today's video, it's going to be on BP, what you need to look out for in terms of your BP affiliations, the heroes that you're choosing for your BP affiliations, and how best to get the best out of your affiliations as well, maximize your top BPs. So, with that all being said, let's get into it. So, before we actually start talking about the BP affiliation, how to maximize all of that, it's really important to clarify BP is important for offense. So when you're actually deploying demon soldiers, your BP affiliations are what determine the strength of your demon soldiers. But the other thing that also factors into your attacking capabilities or your attacking power is your demon soldier level, right? You don't need a video from me to tell you how to increase your demon soldier levels, you farm, right? You need to do your gear dungeon 1, 2, and 3 to acquire all the different demon soldier levels. And then you can, if you've got epic awakening tokenings, if you've got legendary awakening tokens, amazing. Go to the shop here and this tab here, the awakening shop. Buy the units that you don't already have maxed out. I've got the ones that I care about here maxed out, so that's why I haven't bought them. But buy them. Buy if you've got those legendary awakening tokens to spare. If you've got unfortunately pulled loads of rubbish dupes who you've sold off, buy these. It's just an easy way to get soldiers. It's actually helped bridge the gap between a lot of the kind of slightly lower guilds and us, because we used to just have to farm specifically for these. You wouldn't get them any other way, these units. Now you can get them quite easy, and you can get them a lot of them as well. You can, I think it's like 250 shards that you can get now. They used to take ages to farm for that. So it's really good. Make use of this store, right? Because that's going to also help your attacking potential. But let's go into the BP or the affiliation now, right? So before you look at your gear and what you're putting on, first thing you need to look at is which heroes are best for affiliation. So I don't know if everybody knows this, but A5 lords, so legendary lord heroes, get a boost to their affiliation compared to standard units. So a good example of that here is A5 Uridin for a long time was the GOAT of BP affiliation. Crazy multipliers in terms of his BP. So you could get really good affiliations. But since the multipliers have changed on A5 Lords, Eovar is actually the top ranked BP Lord. So here, technically, according to this, Uridin has a higher affiliation or higher BP than Eovar. So Uridin should be my top affiliation. That's not how it plays out, right? So to give you an idea of that, if I go to Demon Soldier and I choose, I don't know, I'll choose my Maul, right? Actually, no, I need to show you Uridin. So if I go on to the Enlightened Guards, right? When you go to affiliate, if I want to do my top affiliation, it's going to tell me what the actual amounts are. So you can see here, Eovar is my top affiliation for Lightning Guards. So if I do this and affiliate Eovar, I get a BP on my Lightning Guard of 255,496, right? if I switch to Uridin, it goes to 238. Oh, so it's slightly different actually. I don't know why that. So it goes to 244. So between the two of them, it's a pretty significant difference, right? Considering that Eobar was meant to be a lower BP by about, I think, 10k or something, actually, it shows. But he's coming out significantly higher because of that A5 Lord multiplier. So just be aware of that. So if you're lucky and you've got high awakened legendary lords, make sure you're coming into this window and just checking their affiliation when you've got them maximized in their top BP gear, because you might actually be surprised. Because even Jira was listed above all of these guys. But these five are my top five affiliated units. So it's just something to work. It's something worth looking out for. It's good to have an idea of which units are really good BP affiliated units. So Uridin, amazing. If you've got an A5 Beelzebub, again, incredible, really, really good unit for affiliation. Jira, if you've got high awakened Jira, again, really good. More at A0 is pretty decent, pretty solid in terms of affiliation as well. Someone who I think is actually criminally underused for BP, it's actually Hex. There's a lot of people who pull on Hex banners who might actually have Hex A5, who don't realize he is actually extremely good for BP affiliation. So when I'm building, I'm going to show you on Hex just to give you an idea of what he can actually achieve in terms of his BP. But it's just because, one, I don't want to leak my own BPs, but two, I also think more people should be using him, right? So we'll, because I'm actually curious. I only thought about Hex whilst I was thinking of like literally just starting up this recording, right? So I don't actually know what he can reach, but I'm sure with just from the theory of how he's always been decent with BP, but now he's got his own weapon. He's got his own exclusive weapon. He's got his own there's a Star Piercer ring that will give him extra BP, and then he's also got his own exclusive artifact, right? So I'm going to kind of explain why those things are important in just a moment, but he's got all the things that you need to boost a hero's BP as high as they can. So I have a feeling you can get really good BP on him. Obviously, this is a DPS build, which is why it's not that high at the moment. But yeah, so when you're kind of looking to gear a hero, your BP hero, there's a few things to know. So the first thing is artifact. Exclusive artifacts are top tier. They always give the highest level of BP. So having a maxed out exclusive artifact will always give you the highest BP potential on any hero. So if that's an option, so for example, Eovar has his own, Valderon has his own, Silas has his own. These guys, if they've all got their own exclusive artifacts, put it on them because it will give them a little bit of an edge. I can show you. If I switch Hex into a different artifact, look, 2,489. This is a maxed out artifact, but he drops BP. So, and 2.5k is a lot of BP, right? Next thing, if you have a good faction ring, then you can add a ton of extra BP, like a ton, right? So it is definitely worth looking into. Once you do that, you can start breaking these sets. So you don't need to worry about having a complete set. Once you have a good faction ring, it's either going to end up being a Cataclysm or Nightmare. What are those rings called? I always forget what they're called just because I hardly ever use them. But the Hell's Lament, sorry. So it's going to be one of these two if it's an exclusive, if it's a faction ring. And eventually, more and more heroes will actually start getting their exclusive pieces here as well, instead of just exclusive weapons. So if they have that, it's worth putting that on them as well. All right. In terms of the best set, if you're not using a faction ring, make sure you're using AW, Ageless Wrath, right? Ageless Wrath is the only set that just has built-in stats. Every other set, they're conditional upon deployment. They need certain kind of things to activate the boosts that they give you. So like Soulbound Arcana needs ultimates to be activated. So it doesn't factor into the overall stats. Whereas if you have a complete Aegis Wrath set, it just adds 30% crit damage. So that then gets built into your BP as well. So Aegis Wrath is for sure the best BP set if you're not running a piercer ring or an exclusive piece of gear, right? So that's the first thing to be aware of. And so Gear Raid 2, farming that to get those Aegis Wrath pieces is actually really useful. Now, when it comes to, so say you've now selected your top 5 units who are going to be your BP units. If you're starting from scratch and like you kind of just want to make sure you're getting the very, very best gear that you can get, or the very, very best BP, really good starting point is to just hit Quick Equip. Quick Equip typically will try and give the best BP. There are some limitations to it, but it's a really, really good starting point. So ideally, what you want to do is you want to unequip all your heroes, all of them, so that no gear is equipped. Because once everyone has been unequipped, all the gear is now available. So then you just hit Quick Equip and it will basically just pick up whatever it thinks is the best gear. So, right, say I had unequipped all of my heroes. So now this has given me a really good start. And already Hex is he's pushing on 120k here. And this is without optimal gear on him, right? So now that you've done that, what you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to put on the pieces of gear that you know are the best specific gear. So, okay, it already naturally put on Hex's exclusive weapon. So I've got a pretty decent Hex quad weapon. So that is always going to be his best piece. Next, I don't have a crit rate, crit damage, attack bonus, attack speed, chest plate yet. Right, so this is actually probably the next best. But what you would do is, because we're definitely using this weapon, we're going to complete this set to get these extra stats here. So what you do is you're going to go in Wicked Vengeance, and you know for a fact, that attack bonus needs to be on here. There's a couple of stats, right, that they're non-negotiable. They need to be on here to maximize your BP, right? So I'm going to select those two. And what you'd do is you would go through it and you would pick the best kind of BP. So you're going to select all of like every piece here, right? And then you're looking at this number. If it goes green, it's an improvement. So I'm going to take the best gear, pretend I'm trying to make Hex my number 1 BP affiliation, right? So I'm just going to take it off of Eva, and I'm going to go through now, and I'm literally, no, I don't even care about the gear. I'm just looking at that number up here, yeah. And I'm just going to go through it. Once you get an understanding of what units like what substats, you can refine this to make it a bit quicker. But I'm assuming if we're just starting from scratch, right, and you don't know what works for who, this is the way to do it, right? But it is worth noting, right? Different heroes benefit from different substats. So, for example, heroes like Uridin, Valkyra, Moore, those kind of heroes who are typically quite tanky fighter units, basically like Jira, they benefit from defense percentage and HP percentage a lot more than platform units like Hex or your Ingrid, your Praetus, your Eovars would. Typically, platform units prefer flat attack. It's not a steadfast rule, but that is typically what you expect. But it also means that there's not a kind of one for all rule for what is the best BP gear. What might be the best BP gear for one hero can be different to, so Eovar's best BP gear is completely different to Uridin's best BP gear. So it's worth noting, okay? Hex typically, because of he's a platform unit, he does typically prefer flat attack as a substat. But we've gone through the chess pieces now, and this is the highest, right? In terms of the ring, I know that I've got a decent piercer ring, right? So I'm going to put that piercer ring onto my Hex. And so it's this one here, right? So it doesn't have the crit rate, because my other rolls should mean that I can get my crit rate capped out using other pieces. So I've put that on. You might look at it and think, oh, but that dropped the BP a little bit. But the point of having this means that it now opens up your other pieces of gear. You're not restricted to Aegis Wrath anymore. You can use other pieces. So I know that Hex benefits from flat attack, right? So I'm going to use these substats and I can choose any. I don't need to worry about sets now. Cataclysm doesn't give a set bonus, right? So I don't need to worry about any other set bonus. I can just now cycle through this and choose. Look at the bonus there. I get an extra 1.7k now. So you're going to cycle through and find out which piece is going to give the most. So looking through here, it looks like that one actually was the 1.7k, right? So we'll put that on there. And then same thing here. We're going to look, and again, we're getting much more BP from these random pieces than we would from Aegis Wrath. So it's all 1.2. And you're just going to literally just keep cycling through like this, right? Yeah, so that 1.2 looks like it was actually the best piece for him there. So looking here, we've jumped up to 122k, right? That is not bad at all, right? So if you don't have A5 Lords, this isn't a bad hero. He's got decent potential. Don't get me wrong, there are better alternatives. A5 Jira, A5 Beelzebub, they are better, but Hex has potential. He's got potential there, right? So it's just one of those things to be aware of and to look out for, because sometimes it will be heroes like Cratch who are decent. They are not bad for their kind of the potential that you have in terms of the max BP. Just because you don't see top guilds using it, yeah, we obviously have A5 Lords, we have A5 Urigen, so those are our units. Setram, again, another. Setram has fallen out of my top BPs, but again, criminally underrated hero. If I show you Setram's potential, right? So I actually think I've got a quad. Do I have a quad Infernal? Yeah, I do. Okay, so you chuck that on him, and then you can do the same thing, right? So you're going to look for. Well, let's quick equip first, actually. And it hasn't put his gear on him because he's got an exclusive artifact, and I've got a quad of his somewhere right there. So then once you chuck that on him, again, you would check the. In fact, I'm going to take that off because I reckon there'll be even better ones. I have one which actually has Raid Region, which is just a dead stat, but the attack has rolled so well that it could make up for it. I should have actually checked that on Hex as well. No, but in that instance, it's not. It looks like the Hex one was the best, I think. Yeah, it was. So we'll drop that one on. It's taken his ring off again, so it's not the best. Quick equip is not the best for picking up on those things like the exclusive artifacts or the faction specific artifacts, I should say. I don't know why I'm selecting that. So we're looking for the Infernal Blast, which is there. And then you do the same thing. So you're going to select all of these pieces and look for the quad, right? So 1, 1, 2. So that's actually a better ring for him. And then this is a better ring for him as well. And I actually think there are better pieces than those, but let's see. Yeah, there you go. There's 111 there. So again, it's the same process, right? You're just going to click through them and just see if there's a better ring for him, which there isn't. Now, you can see here, right? Because he's got so much extra crit rate there, what you will now do is you'll take off crit rate and you'll check, because I'm pretty sure I've got some decent pieces that don't, there you go, that don't have crit rate. So those kind of pieces would then mean that you're not wasting substats and you're kind of maximizing your BP. So again, Setram is going up to 123k there. He's got his exclusive on there as well. The other thing to remember, make sure you max out your skills. If your hero is not fully skilled up, they are not their max BP, you're wasting your BP potential, right? So make sure you've maxed them all up, because it makes a massive, massive, massive difference. Okay. Um, but yeah, so again, Setram's another hero who's really, really useful to have for your affiliations as well. So yeah, that's typically how we kind of go about our BP affiliations, and it's important that you kind of go over each piece again. Once you've kind of done all your pieces, go over it again, because once you start adding extra substats into it, like how I kind of went over the crit cap, going back to my amulet and changing the substat meant that I could then pump in a bit of extra BP there. So make sure you're doing that, going back into it, and that is the best way to maximize your BP. Hopefully, some of you have found that useful and hopefully learned a thing or two. But if you have any questions about anything, or if you kind of disagree with anything I've said, comment below, message me on Discord, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So please, if you did enjoy this content or found it useful, please like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, I will catch you all soon. Stay blessed.